Good afternoon and welcome to Pan-African News. We are coming to you from our studios in Abelemkpe 48 Swanika Street here in Accra. We are live on Facebook at Pan-African Television. We are also live on YouTube at Pan-African Television. My name is Justice Appiah. Let's move on to our top stories for this afternoon. Victims of Shiashi fire outbreak cry for help from government and the public. Transport fares are not only influenced by increment in fuel prices, Station Secretary says. Later in business, the Nigerian government vows action over closure of Nigerian shops in Ghana. Details of these stories, including sports, international and entertainment news, will come your way for the next 1 hour. We're going for a short break. We'll be right back. Now moving on to our very first story for this afternoon. The new patriotic party government has launched a website known as the Delivery Tracker to keep Ghanaians up to date on its infrastructural projects. At its party's second town hall meeting and results fed dubbed Delivery Infrastructure, Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahamudu Bawumia demonstrated how the website operates.
According to the Vice President, the website is created to track various infrastructural projects of government in all the 16 regions. With a picture representation, Dr. Bawumia highlighted some notable projects government has undertaken and captured on the website. According to the data available on the website, 17,334 projects has been initiated by the government, out of which 8,746 are completed, whilst 8,588 are pending. Giving a summary on educational infrastructural projects, Dr. Bawumia stated that a total of 3,699 projects were expected to be undertaken by his government. He said 1,253 have been completed and 1,446 are still ongoing. He believes that no government has ever achieved the level of infrastructural development achieved by the new Patriotic Party in its first term in office. Dr. Bawumia refuted claims by the opposition National Democratic Congress that his government abandoned major projects started under their tenure. He added that the new Patriotic Party is building a nation and not just infrastructure.
To enable all Ghanaians, researchers, CSOs, students, to enable all Ghanaians have access to and interrogate the data that we have put together. We are putting all this data on a website. All that we are talking about, we're going to put it on a website known as the www.deliverytracker.gov.gh. That's the website address. This is a novelty. The infrastructure data, when you get to this website, can be obtained either by sector. So if you want infrastructure data, what we are doing in education, health, agriculture, you can find that, you can get that by that. Or if you want to go by region, I want to know what is happening in Oti, I want to know what is happening in Northeast, or Volta, or Ashanti. You can search by that as well. Or you can go by district. I want to know what is happening in my district. So if I go to Dandom, I can tell what is happening. Right? I go to Sekendi, Takrady, I can tell from this website what government is doing. As the name implies, Delivery Tracker is a portal where you can track the status of delivery of government promises and also infrastructure projects. It will enhance transparency and accountability in governance. It will also enable government to monitor all infrastructure projects to ensure that uncompleted projects are prioritized in the process of capital budgeting. The portal is a living portal, so it is going to be regularly updated. As far as we know, Ghana is the only country in Africa that has implemented this publicly accessible delivery track.
Now let's cross over to the phone lines and speak to William Dallas, who is part of the team that researched on abandoned projects embarked on by the former President John Dramani Mahama. William, can you hear me? Hello? All right, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on Pan-African News. What do you make of yesterday's town hall meeting by the New Patriotic Party? Hello?
Yeah, hello. I'm on.
Very well. If you can hear me, I've asked your take on yesterday's town hall meeting by the New Patriotic Party.
Okay, thank you very much. And good afternoon to your cherished viewers. We in the NDC, we stated our position that what happened yesterday was a compendium of blatant lies, plagiarized Mahama projects, and comical celebration of mediocrity. Because, my brother, even the venue they choose to serve Ghanaians with such blatant lies was constructed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. I was expecting that His Excellency the Vice President would actually pat the former president on the back. That this program has been successful because of the vision of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Where would they have organized the program if His Excellency John Dramani Mahama had not erected that very building? Again, my brother, he sought to make the argument that they've completed all projects that they inherited from the erstwhile NDC administration. But the truth of the matter is that if you do an analysis of the projects we left before exiting office on 7th January 2017, you will come to the conclusion that not even 5% of the projects have been continued or completed under this clueless and incompetent administration of Mr. Akufo-Addo.
If you said they have lied,
I can point to
okay,
the district referral hospital at Kwewu Abetifi.
Okay.
We left that project at about 65 to 70% complete. And as I speak with you, they've abandoned that project and it has become the den for rodents and reptiles. The roof, I mean, we were able to roof some of the buildings. The roofs have been ripped off. Those that were unable to roof, they're actually selling off and all that. If you come to the eastern region, for instance, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama brought about 12 community SHS into the region. As at the time we were exiting office, we had completed about 6 of them and populated them with students. Like the Taklasi one, Nyanwa Kwalba, Kwewu Fodwa, Nim Chenfre, Mame Krobo, and Num Apatem. The rest were left in various stages of completion. As I speak, these buildings have also become dens for rodents and reptiles. There are a number of, or let's say a plethora of roads faith centers, polyclinics that we left in various stages of completion across the regions. As I speak with you, they've abandoned those projects. And I am happy to announce to your cherished viewers that tomorrow, Thursday, we are going to unpack all the lies that His Excellency Bawumia packed or fed Ghanaians with. We are going to unpack them tomorrow. We will strip this government naked and make Ghanaians understand that in as much as this government has gotten more money than any government in the Fourth Republic, it is the most clueless, it is the most substandard, and the most useless administration of all time in the history of the world. They were able to succeed in 2016 by compiling lies. I mean, lying to Ghanaians with regard to their competencies and all that. But we are in 2020, my brother, and Ghanaians are wild awake. Ghanaians have regretted trusting this clueless administration. And thank God we have capable hands that will be administering this country 7 January 2021. The person of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Genopo-Kwachima.
Okay.
We are also bringing on board policies that will help open up the country in order to compete with the rest of the world. So we wouldn't even waste time to debate His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on the lies he packed on Ghanaians yesterday. What we are going to do tomorrow is to make sure that every lie that he packed yesterday will be unpacked and then prepare the Ghanaian voter for the tax ahead of us 7 December 2020. I also heard the Vice President appropriating credits for projects that were completed even before we left office.
What are some of those projects?
The Ga East Hospital. The Ga East Hospital. This is the hospital that we completed. We started even before Edison Tower. So for the whole Vice President to look us in the face and tell us they completed the project and stopped it. It's a blatant lie that we should not tolerate in this country.
All right.
Politics has become a sophisticated game nowadays. And so the era where you can hide in your closet and pack lies on Ghanaians and go scot-free is far gone. And we are going to demonstrate that, God willing, tomorrow.
All right.
So that Ghanaians will appreciate that the NDC had about 47 billion Ghana cedis between 2012 and 2016. But when it comes to infrastructure, we have a superior record to that of the NDP. Now they can boast of over 235 billion Ghana cedis.
We'll end the interview here.
Ask them what
can you hear me?
That money. They cannot point to a single project that they have started from the scratch and completed it.
All right, thank you so much, sir.
They are hanging on straws. I mean, trying to appropriate credit for projects they did not commence.
All right. Okay, thank you so much for your time. Time is fast spent. We'll come back to you once again for more on this particular one. We've been speaking to Mr. William Dallas, who happens to be part of the team that researched on abandoned project embarked upon by the previous government. Away from that, former General Secretary of the of the Progressive People's Party (PPP), William Duokbo, has picked up a form to contest the presidential race for the party. Speaking to my colleague David Otokono, the columnist says his good governance background will help him win the nod to lead the party in the upcoming December elections.
Thank you so much. First of all, I just want to find out from you what you think your chances are. I've just been informed there are 5 other persons, going into the candidature. What do you think your chances are?
Oh, my chances are bright. I don't want to appear overconfident because it's going to be a contest. But I believe that at this time in our party's history, I'm the one who is well groomed and most capable to stand in the big shoes of Dr. Appiah Kwesindum, who is not able to contest for obvious and a myriad of reasons. On my own, I have come from a good governance background, so I really mix my politics with good governance. In other words, my politics is objective. There's a reason why I do politics, and it's always in the national interest. And my colleagues, national officers, regional officers, constituency officers, they know the work I have done, and they have no doubt at all that I am the one most capable at this time in our party's history to run on the ticket of the Progressive People's Party, and of course also able to match the NDC and NPP and bring victory to our party.
All on politics, at an event over the weekend to launch the Greater Accra Regional Executives of the Opposition or People's Party, APC, the elected regional chairman, His Lord Anang Tete, has asked Ghanaians not to underestimate the party for winning the 2020 general elections. He said his party has a lot to offer Ghanaians when they get the nod.
The government has disappointed the good people of Ghana. So therefore, the APC wants to intervene to make all Ghanaians equal, notwithstanding the political. APC is not a Muchendi party. APC is not a family and friends party. APC does not focus only on delegates. APC is not school and church mates party. APC is not 60 and 70 years old people's party. APC is not corrupt and selfish party just like the others. But APC stands for all inclusive governance. We recognize all Ghanaians. APC, when voted in power, will introduce free tertiary education. APC will implement policies that will cater for the aged, including some of the leaders in power who are over 70 years and still want to remain in government without thinking about their pension claims. The percentage of corruption in the previous and the present government are equal. So therefore, they should not be entertained by that. The APC has the privilege to give opportunity to all and sundry, and also correct the political mess created by the dead goat in the NDCs and the grandpa leadership of the NPP. We would want to appeal to the good people of Ghana not to underestimate the APC party. They should not be deceived by the other political parties that says by voting for APC is a waste of ballot.
It's very easy to say that I am an elected officer, but it comes with a lot of work. It comes with a lot of sacrifice. It comes with commitment. It comes with integrity. Wants Ghanaians to see you as different from the NDC and MPP. And that journey you must start now. The people of this country are looking for a third force. They are looking for a force that will change the fortune of this. Do not defend larger majority of Ghanaians who cannot have 3 square meals. And do not disappoint the aged who are looking for a savior and the youth who are looking for an opportunity to better their future.
The government.
Now, the National Democratic Congress's parliamentary candidate for Santimampon, Dr. Frank Amwakohene, has assured his constituents that his plans for the constituency are not politically calculated agenda just to score political points, but rather feasible. Dr. Amwakohene revealed this when the Constituency Connect team visited one of the registration centers in the constituency.
I've been active, yes, I have a health background, but I've been actively involved in politics at different levels. I was actually much more involved in student politics all the way up to now. And I was SRC president, I was NASAC president, National Health Student Association of Ghana. I was president for National Union of Ghana Students before I ran for parliamentary primary. So I'm not a bit uninformed when it comes to policy formulation and being able to look at your population dynamics and what will actually meet the needs and the aspirations of the people. So this campaign will be run based on facts and figures, achievable targets, not just any political statements in the air for people to just dismantle it among others. We're going to look at it sector by sector. If I talk about providing soft loans for small-scale enterprises and all that, I know what I'm talking about. I have my data in place. I know a number of people who are in need of such help. If I'm talking about scholarship for our students and being able to help as many as I can to attain their dreams, their educational aspirations, I know what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about a revolution within our health care provision for the people of Mampong here, I know what I'm talking about. And again, I have made a lot of engagements with stakeholders within these areas, discussed with them. So after the launch of the National Manifesto, we're going to have a local manifesto launch which fits into the National Manifesto, so that in our next government, it's not like we've come into power and we don't know what we're doing for the people. We actually know what we're doing for the people, and it's what actually the people want that we want to do. So we're going to run a campaign that is not based on lies or scams among others. It's about what is really pressing on the ground, what the data suggests, and what will actually push this constituency forward and send us to the destination of prosperity. You will have less of our youth being employed, so they either end up engaging in menial jobs or many of them engaging in social vices. These are things that are challenging. And you realize that I'm a youthful candidate. And these are people I've sat in the same class with, I have schooled with, people who are my friends, I know their challenges and all that. So job creation is going to be focal in this year's election. Health is also going to be focal in this year's election. We have a major hospital here, Mampong District Hospital. We have a maternity block there. But because of the poor facilities we have there, and the environment that is not conducive enough for best medical practices, we realize that most of the indigents seek for medical attention and medical care elsewhere, which we think is wrong. Because if you realize that it's such a big community, the voter strength aside, you have over 95,000 population strength here, from Torian all the way, which I estimate that if we had done the census this year, we would have even hit above 100,000. So if the major hospital that is supposed to serve us is impacted, then there should be a way to be able to save lives, especially for our mothers, for the maternity. So job creation, jobs, making the constituency economically viable.
Away from politics, affected residents of the East Legon Shiashin fires have pitched camp at the community's branch of the Presbyterian Church. This is as a result of their properties, including houses, the fire gutted, rendering some 250 of them homeless.
Fire, which is said to be a good master but a bad servant, on Friday, August 14, split its fuel of jeopardy at some residents of Diashi in East Legon, Accra. The outbreak, which per eyewitnesses occurred at 8:30 p.m., has claimed several properties, including houses, clothes, and other essentials. Albeit the exact cause of this inferno has not been ascertained, some victims call out an affected neighbor for her negligence, one they believe caused the breakout.
So you might be Kessi and not the Acheni. Nipa Bensa na. Oh, my dear, she yes say I'm Buanu.
I lady now di kankas. Wa Jessica e wan ho.
Yeah, no more can see a son bra. Ne hunu ne bisa ni say Sampa wajia sonjia no one can.
Enti sabayo ne kase obia mboa. Anya no krasa mimi jina we
ya bayo na ade na start say wono
wono ohiti odihita etu nsuom at the same time was so gas and oja hokotena na danfo bi nchen ye di nkomo enti na dwen ba so no oba ye na ja to nanu.
This, as a result, rendered many, if not all, homeless, hence resulting to a neighboring church for shelter. Inti hase na mo na haya asori fie ana.
Fie Presby.
Inti then I lead him ba hase.
Se na ye no aha no won say Presby for no mo doyen. E no mo pay asem. E na professor no ye ni wa ha nsa na okọ dodo wa no. E na ye penasem. E se esa ye nim se ba me se ba Presby a professor ete on jaye. In
the news team's quest of determining how they survive at their new abode, they indicated that but for the benevolence of some individuals, including the Member of Parliament for the constituency, Honorable Lydia Al-Hassan, and the NDC's parliamentary candidate, John Dumelo, their current situation would have been more tragic.
MP Nada Roma, MP ni sorry, carry for cape for and Presby for a didi mudi no kwasemuni MP no wa boye woman no kwafa mattress adia Brian ana yenya bidi etiri toso wo ebi nkrofo nso so ebi na hyehyɛ yɛne wo ma bɛkyekyɛ yɛn entade a yenya bi ahyehyɛ na yɛdidi mudi asɛm ne ba yɛ no MP no onja yɛn na baby a yɛbɛda no kyerɛ sɛ yɛsika nyinaa hye.
They further disclosed some officials from the National Disaster Management Organization, in line with their duties, came through to take records of affected residents and are pleading on the government to intervene.
Yeah, man, and say no place to go and no place to even put our head down. Until on kasa boy say ebia sabi nadmo nso aba behwe yen
nadmo
aba kyerɛkyerɛ yen di ani da nanso was
aba na nadmo fo
mo ba he ne da ena nanso mo aba ho a wo nkyerɛ wo den nti ena ye dose almost 300 to 400 nti afɛkunu say ye mpɛ sɛ ye da ho a ɔban no begya ye yen
nti man fahwe ye papa ne cho sɛ on beboai wan beboai e wona yeti no ye hozoless obi eni ho a ofli kromu a ye panichopa on the boy.
It's been day 3 after fire gutted some residents of CRC in East Legon here in Accra. An occurrence that rendered many homeless, many unsheltered, and many on a search but lonely. An occurrence that has rendered a lot more hopeless and homeless. Hence their decision to pitch in camp here at the Presbyterian Church of Ghana, CRC East Legon branch, waiting for a miracle. My name is Fauzu Masaldo, reporting for Pan-African News, CRC, Accra.
Some commercial drivers in the country have refused to reduce transportation fares after an adjustment of 5% downward in the prices of fuel, causing displeasure between both drivers and passengers.
Transport fares saw an increment during the lockdown period due to a 15% hike in fuel prices, coupled with restrictions imposed on commercial vehicles not to load to full capacity. Speaking to Pan-African News, Station Secretary at the Medina Dome St. John's Branch 1 of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Samuel Avivo, disclosed that transport fares are not only influenced by increment of crude. This, he said, has contributed to the reasons why the reduction in fuel prices has not affected the transportation fares. According to him, apart from the hike in fuel prices, cost of spare parts, maintenance of vehicles, and insurance are some contributing factors of transportation increments.
The increments of fuel, it's not the fuel alone. Even spare parts also count. Tires and batteries also count. So if it's only fuel, it only affects us because you buy tires, you buy batteries and spare parts. So if you say only fuel, though they decrease the fuel, but that's why it did not impact on our sales. That's what we have been saying, because if you're the passenger, some of them didn't know that even if the increments of the fuel, if you are going to buy spare parts, they also say that because of the fuel, because they also transport the goods from somewhere to Abosokai, so they also increase their spare parts.
Some commercial drivers and passengers also share their thoughts on the recent 5% reduction of fuel prices.
Back to
prices no matter so for lorry fare no matter so.
Umuka said me ya tisu.
Matter so saying how many by percentage by how many matter so saying na mo year free so.
Okay, instead of 4 cities me ya 20 cities free so.
20 pesos free so. Na first na kasa na mo je 3 cities saying.
3 cities 30 pesos.
Okay. That na mo go back to sa 3 cities 30 pesos na. First mo je no.
Okay, actually you have increased 2 times. Yeah, increasing your fare.
So, cause na yini maye no. Yari ni maye no baby a meme wono wo fra ba ha. No mo ju 240. Ba yari nam say omo ye no mo di call maybe omo je 3 cities. Enti se no yesaka siem family ansano. Ebi fe ni nyina pe, ebi ji 28, ebi so ji 27. Enti e problem ma passengers
Pan-African News visit to some fuel stations has confirmed a reduction in fuel prices at the pump.
Ghana Journalists Association GJ has invited journalists who may not vote on election day due to work to register for special or early voting.
The association said such persons should send their name, voter's ID number, code on ID card, and their polling station to the Ghana International Press Center by October 10, 2020. The association in a press release said Regulation 23, Sub-Regulation 2A of CI 94 states that the application for special voting shall be made no later than 42 days before polling day in the constituency of the applicant. The statement added that journalists who want to benefit from the provision should therefore send their particulars to the GJA before the October 10th deadline to enable the ACE to process the application for special voting.
Now, chiefs of the Kasson traditional area have urged Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman to maintain the decency she has exhibited in politics as the country prepares for the 2020 general elections. The chiefs noted that peace and decency were virtues Professor Opoku-Agyeman had shown even before she was named as the running mate to former President John Dramani Mahama.
According to the chiefs, it was imperative for the running mate of the National Democratic Congress not to lose those virtues but conduct a clean campaign to maintain the prevailing peace the country was currently enjoying. The chiefs gave the advice when Professor Opoku-Agyeman paid a courtesy call on them at their palace to introduce herself to them as part of a tour they thought of the Upper East region. Zigran Asigri Abugrago Azuka II, the paramount chief of the Kusagu traditional area, said the winner of the election had already been chosen by God and therefore all politicians had to be cautious in sending their messages to the electorate to avoid conflict. Naba Abilial Belwin, the chief of Zebila, touts the peaceful nature of Professor Opoku-Agyeman and said her stance would help shift the politics of insults to politics of issues to enhance peace. He urged the running mate to advise the party supporters to avoid character assassination during the campaign season to maintain the peace. On her part, Professor Opoku-Agyeman said peace and unity were important for accelerated and sustained development. He assured the chiefs that the National Democratic Congress would continue to pursue issues-based campaign devoid of insults. The former Minister of Education stated that insults portrayed a negative image of the country's democratic credentials, showed a sign of disrespect to the elderly, parents, and taught the youth the bad way of governance. She appealed to traditional authorities to use their influence to ensure that politicians and their supporters conducted electioneering campaigns with a high sense of decency to maintain peace and development before, during, and after December 7, 2020 general elections. Professor Opoku-Agyeman was compounded by Mr. Alex Segbefia, the former Minister of Health and Deputy Campaign Manager of the party. For the 2020 election, Mr. Samuel Okujato Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tongo and former Deputy Minister of Education, Mrs. Emilia Arthur, former Deputy Regional Minister, Mr. Isaac Adongo, MP for Bolgatanga Central, Hajia Ladi Ayi Ayamba, MP for Pusiga, and party executives. Places visited on her first day of the tour included the Bolgatanga Central, Baku Central, Zabila, Garu, Tempan, and Pusiga.
Away from Ghana, let's do some other stories from our neighboring countries. Malian President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita resigned after being detained by the military junta that pledged to shepherd a democratic transition. The coup capped weeks of protest demanding that he stepped down.
Keita, 75, has faced opposition criticism for alleged corruption and nepotism within his administration and the mishandling of an escalating Islamist insurgency in the West African nation. Keita appeared on national television to announce that he was dissolving his cabinet and parliament and complying with soldiers' demands that he quit. Hours later, Colonel Major Ismail Wagu appeared on television to announce that the National Committee for the Salvation of the People has taken charge of the country. He appealed to civil society and political groups to help prepare for elections without providing a timeline for when a vote will be held. The Economic Community of West African States commended the coup and called for the regional blocs forced to be on standby. It also sealed off the nation's borders and suspended all trade. French President Emmanuel Macron held talks about the crisis with his Nigerian, Ivorian and Senegalese counterparts and said he supported mediation by ECOWAS. The regional bloc has intervened militarily in the past, sending troops to Gambia in 2017 to help end a political crisis in the country. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres also commended Keita's overthrow, while African Union Commission Chairman Musa Faki Mahamat said the continental body opposed the use of force to resolve the country's political crisis.
The Socialist Forum of Ghana, SFG, is worried about vicious attacks carried out by the Israeli army in Palestine. Now, over the last 2 weeks, the occupationist forces have dropped bombs on Palestinian cities using drones, aircraft, and tanks without regard to any humanitarian considerations. The Socialist Forum of Ghana has issued a statement expressing their displeasure over the issue happening in Palestine currently. We'll be joined on phone by Mr. Justice Heneku. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, hello.
Thank you so much for joining us on Pan-African News this afternoon. Can you tell us what the Socialist Forum is saying with their statement?
Well, the Socialist Forum of Ghana solidarizes with the people of Palestine who have been under occupation since 1948.
Okay.
When the Israeli settler regime was created. When the Israeli settler regime created by refugees from Europe.
Hello?
Refugees from war in Europe. Since then, they've created a relative Zionist system which discriminates against the indigenous people of Palestine. And the war on land and on water has been fought. And you have a right-wing government now, the Netanyahu, who has systematically passed laws in defiance of international law to deprive the lands of the occupied territories from Palestine. Unfortunately, you have reactionary ruling elite of the Arab kingdoms, especially in the Gulf, who have been dallying with the Israeli settler regime because of blood money and oil money, and because of the Jewish lobby in the United States of America. And this has forced the United Arab Emirates to establish diplomatic relations with Israel. Indeed, United Arab Emirates will be the third Arab country to be establishing diplomatic relations with Israel. The first having been Egypt, which being led by President Sadat in 1979, visited Israel and established diplomatic relations with them for the return of the Sinai Peninsula. And the second being Jordan, who was forced to establish diplomatic relations with Israel. Now the United Arab Emirates, a strong supporter of the Palestinian cause, a bankroller of the Palestinian cause, is now going to is going to engage with the Israeli settler racist apartheid regime. And the Socialist Forum of Ghana unreservedly condemns the Israeli Zionists and their racist attitude towards the Palestinians. We unreservedly condemn the United Arab Emirates and the Arab ruling clique who pretend to be on the side of the masses of the Arab world and at the same time sells them for 30 pieces of silver to the Jewish Zionist lobby. Yes, and the Socialist Forum of Ghana reservedly condemns this, and that's why we have issued a press statement to that effect. And our press statement is in solidarity with the Palestinians, the long-suffering Palestinian masses.
All right, okay. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We're so grateful for your time. We've been speaking to Mr. Justice Akufo Heneku, a member of the SFG. Now, briefly, let me take you through the statements by the Socialist Forum of Ghana. Statement on the current situation in Palestine. The Socialist Forum of Ghana, SFG, is deeply worried about the current situation in Palestine, characterized by vicious attacks by the Israeli occupation army and the establishment of diplomatic relations between the United Arab Emirates and Israel. Over the last 2 weeks, the occupationist forces have dropped bombs on Palestinian cities using drones, aircraft, and tanks without regard to any humanitarian considerations. Many houses and facilities have been destroyed in a reckless and futile attempt to bring the heroic people of Palestine to their knees. It is significant that the United Arab Emirates chose, under the prompting of the Donald Trump administration, to recognize the state of Israel and to open trade and diplomatic relations with Israel at this crucial time. Indeed, the current military aggression on Palestine was needed by the threat of the Israeli government to annex more Palestinian land, especially in the West Bank. Since the days of the Nakba, millions of Palestinians have been driven out of their homeland into exile, and the Israeli authorities are trampling on their right to return home. Currently, more than 7,000 Palestinians are languishing in 25 Israeli prisons. These includes women and children who have been thrown in jail for their opposition to the apartheid policies of the Zionist entity. We see the so-called normalization of relationship between renegade Arab states and Israel as nothing more than the naked betrayal of the legitimate cause of the Palestinian people and a slap in the face of the global struggle for justice. The Accra Collective of the SFG calls for an immediate halt to Israel's aggression against the people of Palestine and respect the right of Palestinian refugees and return to their homeland, in addition to the unconditional release of all Palestinian political prisoners. The statement further added that we also condemn the so-called normalization of relationship between the reactionary Arab regimes and Israel as act of treason against the popular Arab interest and the cause of justice everywhere. Palestinians will surely be free. Note, these are the following comrades and who are available to be spoken to. The numbers and names have been provided over there, signed by Blaise Tulo, convener, Accra Collective. And so that's exactly what the Socialist Forum has contained in their press statement. Away from that, let's do some business story. The Nigerian government has vowed that it would take urgent steps following the viral video showing the closure of shops belonging to Nigerian traders in Ghana. Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyeama made the announcement in a tweet as he expressed his government's dismay.
According to Geoffrey Onyeama in a tweet, Nigerian government has watched with dismay the painful video of the forceful closure of Nigerian traders in Ghana. Urgent steps will be taken. It comes just months after a major diplomatic row in which a building in the Nigerian embassy compound in Ghana was demolished. The video in question shows a Nigerian man speaking to security agents locking up his shop in Ghana. The man claimed in the video that he was asked to pay $1 million, that is 750,000 euros, as task. The response by the Nigerian government comes after members of the local union of the Ghana Union of Traders Association in Koforidua in the eastern region agitated over the influx of foreigners, mostly Nigerians, in the retail business, contrary to the laws of Ghana. The local Guta chapter has therefore issued an ultimatum demanding closures of all retail shops of the Nigerians by August 31st, 2020, threatening to unleash force to forcefully eject the Nigerians from the local market if their calls are not heeded. This follows months of clashes between Nigerian traders and their counterparts in the retail space in Ghana. There have been clashes at the Bosokai, Circle and Kumasi between Nigerian traders and the Ghana Union Traders of Association Guta. Meanwhile, a pressure group, the Human Rights Writers Association, has called on the Nigerian government to retaliate against Ghanaian businesses in Nigeria. Some Nigerians are questioning the rationale behind Ghana's imposition of conditions considering agreements on free trade and movement reached by the regional body, the Economic Country of West African States, ECOWAS.
That'll be all for business now. Let's do some international stories. The main organizers of the national strike against the postponement of general elections in Bolivia, the Bolivian Workers' Center COB, and the Pact of Unity, National Alliance of Social Movement and Grassroots Organization, announced in a press conference on August 14 that they will suspend the measures of protest until October 18. The announcement comes after they achieved guarantees for general elections.
However, the leaders warned that they would mobilize again if the coup-installed government attempts to further delay elections or refuses to accept its defeat in the elections, which according to them is certain and inevitable. Former President Evo Morales praised their decision. Social movements with strong democratic vocation declared the pause in the mobilizations until October 18th elections, which they see as the only way out of the country's political, economic and health crisis. Only with unity we can recover democracy, wrote Morales in a tweet on August 16th. The same day, during a public council in El Alto City, COB leaders called on the social movement and trade unions, which had been mobilizing and maintaining road blockades across Bolivia since August 3rd, to end the general strike and lift the blockades. The decision was taken following the enactment of a new electoral law that fixes the date of general elections with guarantees of international organizations such as the UN and the EU. On August 13th, Bolivia's de facto president Jeanine Áñez enacted a law that set October 18th as the deadline for holding presidential and parliamentary elections in the country. The law includes provisions to impose criminal penalties on anyone who attempts to further postpone the date. Before being presented to Áñez for its constitutional promulgation, the law was approved by both chambers of deputies and senators, where Morales' party, the Movement Towards Socialism, MAS, holds the two-thirds majority.
Dispatch for that international story. Up next is sports with Michael Entry Boisiaku.